We're here today with Wendy Haines, founder of Illumine Education. Wendy is a teacher and trainer, and she's here with us today. Welcome, Wendy.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here.
In your work, you talk about the concept of a thriving life. Could you define that for us?
Many people focus on success in their lives, and even our culture really supports this idea of what it means to be successful, to focus on career and to get financially successful. And so there's this focus on success. But what I've discovered in my work and with people that I've worked with, so many people become really successful and they accomplish that and find that the rest of their life is floundering. Their family life is floundering. They can't have successful, healthy relationships. Their health goes down the tubes. And so my concept of a thriving life is that you can be totally successful in career. You can be totally successful financially, and you're a holistic being. So you can thrive. It's possible to have success in every arena. You can thrive in all arenas of your life.
When someone says, "Don't worry, it's not personal, it's just business," what do you say to that?
That if you compartmentalize your life, it can ultimately come back around to bite you. That we're connected, everything is connected. And that to have a thriving life, it's about fully showing up as all of who you are in every arena.
How can someone strip away their conditioning and their fears and really align themselves with their own authenticity?
There's this magic place that I call the microscopic truth. And it is a voice that lives within every single one of us. We've always had it and we always will. When we can tune into our own microscopic truth, then it's as if we are immediately aligned with our divine path. And we're immediately aligned with that concept of truth or honesty. And the microscopic truth it's that voice of the body. Our bodies often through physical sensation tell us things. And when we can tune into that, become aware of it, and then tune into it and tap into it, it will tell us information that's important, and it will guide us along the way. Sometimes also the microscopic truth is that voice that you've been hearing in the back of your mind for a while, but you keep kind of denying it or ignoring it or pushing it away because maybe it represents a level of change that just feels scary to you. Or maybe it keeps telling you to go in a direction that you're like, oh, I don't know. I'm telling you, when you tap into that place and then you allow your life to be guided from that place, it's like you're aligning yourself with your divine path. And again, just like with authenticity, miraculous things will unfold. A life will be revealed to you that is greater than what you could have ever even imagined.
Well, I'm assuming that this requires a degree of risk.
Yes, definitely. Risk.
Well, and what would you say to people who are risk adverse?
This is such a great point, because I personally, and so many people that I've worked with along the way, used to be a person that, I was willing to live large, right? I was willing to risk to a certain degree, but this is how I walked through life. I would hear the inspiration, like that voice of passion within me, that microscopic truth, and I would say, okay, I'm going to go for it, and I would take a step towards it, and then fear would come up. That feeling of risk or fear would come up, and I would go, oh, I have to stop right now. And I would stop in my tracks, and then I would get busy, addressing and processing and engaging with the fear. And then all of a sudden I wondered why my whole life was defined by the fear, because that's what I was looking at, the fear. And so I let fear stop me in my tracks. I actually believed that successful people didn't feel fear. So I thought, well, if I can overcome feeling fear, then I'll be successful, right? Well, the two go hand in hand. And I learned that through experience. You keep risking, you keep stretching, and the more that you stretch, the more that you risk, the more you discover that it's actually a function of living a larger life. And the more that you do it anyway, like you stay in motion and you stay engaged and you stay in action regardless of the fear, and you don't let the fear take all of your attention, you soon discover, oh, all right, well, this is just a part of the journey. And in fact, it's possible to get to a place where you transform your relationship to fear to such a degree that it actually starts to feel exciting. I think, oh, I'm on my growing edge. This is a great sign. I'm feeling a little bit afraid here. So it's energizing me and it's informing me that I'm actually growing my life right now because I'm afraid.
How can someone know the difference between a fear that they may have that's preventing them from growing versus a fear that's real or one that they should actually be listening to?
This is about getting really attuned to the many different voices within us, right? And there are sometimes voices that show up as fear that are a warning. That voice that says, actually, that feels scary, so I'm not going to go down that path. That's a dark alley. There's something that feels scary about it. I think it's wise to walk around the block rather than go down the dark alley. So yes, there are voices of fear that will give you a warning. So when you become adept at tuning your inner ear to the microscopic truth, and then you take proactive action on behalf of your life, you're going to recognize that's a different voice, and those are different fears. They resonate in a different way than those warnings.
You work with a lot of really successful people. One of your clients has even won 2 Emmys. What do you find is one of the most common hurdles that successful people come up against?
One of the greatest hurdles that I see again and again is, it's such a paradox too. It's fascinating. So someone is brave enough, right, to be stretching outside their comfort zone on a continual basis, to set lofty goals, and then to engage in the action that it takes to progress themselves towards the achievement of that goal. And then they discover that when it's just within reach, they get really attached. So this idea of attachment seems to be almost epidemic on this course of becoming more successful. We'll see what happens when we become attached to a goal is that we often sabotage it through our attachment. Imagine that it's as if you get your grips on the goal and then you start to white knuckle it and you literally squeeze the life out of it. And so the miraculous can't occur because you're like, ah! And then your will and your ego get involved, and then it's this whole inner battle that's happening. So attachment is a very recurrent theme with successful people. So then the question becomes, how do I set really big goals for myself and stay non-attached? So this art of non-attachment is all about recognizing the quality underneath the goal. So you imagine a specific goal and you imagine yourself having already gotten that thing or achieved that goal, and you want to inquire or get clear about what are the qualities in your life that you imagine that will bring along with it. So rather than focusing on the thing, you want to focus on the quality that goal represents, because inevitably it's not the thing that we're after anyway. It's what we associate with the thing that we're looking to cultivate. And the great news is you can cultivate qualities right here, right now. So say you want that promotion because you imagine that if you have that promotion and that position in your job, then it's going to give you a sense of self-respect. So what you really want to cultivate is self-respect. So you start trying that on a daily basis and say, okay, how can I stand in self-respect today? How can I activate that within me and grow that within me today? And suddenly you're cultivating this self-respect and you've become the person that actually deserves the promotion. So the quality comes before the thing. So to stay non-attached, or if you notice yourself getting attached, ask yourself, okay, what am I attached to here? What do I imagine this will bring into my life? And then focus on cultivating that quality, because that's within your control.
There's another concept I've heard you talk about, and that is disobligation. What is disobligation?
Disobligation is a concept that will support, assist, liberate any person who has ever felt themselves having the need for approval or who has ever looked outside of themselves for a sense of well-being, which I think is everybody on the face of the planet. I've never met anyone who's never had those experiences. So the idea is that when we are in that place where we're needing approval from the outside world, or when we're needing something outside of us to occur or take place or happen in order to feel okay, then we've plugged into something outside of ourselves for our well-being. To disobligate is to actually unplug from the outer world. The outer world will always be unpredictable. We don't have control over how other people will respond to us. We don't have control over how certain circumstances will show up many times. And so if we're plugged into that, then we're dependent on the outer world. I have this philosophy that we're actually culturally conditioned to be codependent with the world around us. So the idea of disobligation is unplugging from that which is unreliable and unpredictable, and plugging into self, plugging into a place that is sourced by something greater, by something that is much larger than ourselves. Some people call it God or spirit or the universe, whatever it is, sourcing from your higher self, from your best self, so that you are no longer linked to that which is unreliable, and you can become more and more self-defined. So the ultimate result of being disobligated, or being able to unplug from the outer world and plug into yourself and source and be defined from within, the result becomes being self-referenced. And then wherever you go, you carry with you a sense of well-being, a sense of self, a sense of knowing who you are, and a sense that you can withstand, or you can thrive in the face of any circumstances or events, because you're not dependent on things showing up in a certain way in order to be okay. You already are okay.
Some people may interpret that as not caring. They say, well, we all live in this world together. We're interactive. We depend upon each other. We have certain obligations to each other. We want each other to be happy. We want to make other people happy. So how is this not caring?
So there's a difference between codependence and interdependence. So the idea of being self-referenced or being disobligated doesn't mean that you don't care, or that you're not aware of what's going on around you, or the needs of other people around you, or the fact that you're in relationship with other people and the world around you. What it means is that you're not emotionally attached to it. So it's when we can emotionally detach from that and then go plug into something that is more reliable, plug into something that we have ultimate choice about, which is how we're in relationship with ourselves. We have ultimate choice about that. So interdependence means that you have awareness, you're tuned into the world around you, and you're consciously in loving relationship with other people and with the life around you, but you're not emotionally attached to then how that feeds you.
Wendy, thank you so very much for joining us and sharing this valuable information, and we look forward to seeing you again and having you come and join us again. Thank you.
Excellent. It's been such a pleasure. Thanks.